Hey, what's going on, party people? This is Robert Jenkins. I want to welcome you to the North Star Podcast. I'm joined in studio. As you can see, we're here in what I call Moon Mine Productions. It's not as big as it's going to be, but it is what it is right now. We want to welcome Brennae Brooks to the studio, and she is a veterans benefit attorney. And so you can imagine myself being a veteran. I had quite a bit of interest in this whole topic, and I was dying to get her on the show. Also, I don't know, there's so many layers and so many different little convoluted turns and twists to this whole thing called veterans benefits that, so we all need an expert from time to time to figure out what in the world is going on. And also, she is a veteran of the Air Force, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna touch on that background, and we're really gonna keep the questions kind of confined to her experience as a veteran, as a Air Force member, but also leverage her expertise as an attorney for the veterans benefit attorney to actually, like I say, maybe elucidate some of this for some of the listeners out there. So, Brennae, welcome to the North Star Podcast.
Thank you. I am glad to be here.
And so what we normally do, of course, is we open up with some biographical information. Mm-hmm. So just take the floor, take your time, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
You can go back to when you was a kid, because what I really want to know is, when you was a kid, did you know you was going to be a lawyer?
Oh, great question. I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee. My father is a pastor, and my mom helped my father run different businesses that he had. So I come from a family of 5. I am the middle child, and I have I had 2 older brothers, and I have 2 younger siblings who also followed me into the military, right after I went in. Yeah. No, 3 years later. Pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
But when I was young, my dad was always like, oh, you can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want to do in life. Mm-hmm. He always said that. Mm-hmm. My mom did too. They always encouraged us to do whatever we wanted to do in life. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to be either a doctor or a lawyer. And so when I used to watch, what's that show? The Cosby Show. Mm-hmm. I used to watch that, and I was like, ooh, which one? Doctor or lawyer? So that's how I got into this. Yeah. And I've always wanted to help people. That's one thing that's always been consistent. But I did not choose the path of being a doctor, because I was like, too much blood. I don't want to do that.
I know. Huh?
And I did want to be a teacher as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted to just really give back. But after, let's say I was in high school, I think, mm-hmm. and I saw a recruiter come in, mm-hmm. and, they were like saying, oh, we'll pay for your school. You can do this. You can go to school anywhere. You can travel the world. So that's how they got me. Okay. And I was young. Yeah. I got into a school in Michigan for engineering, and I wasn't allowed to go. I was young. I was only 17 when I graduated high school, and I wasn't allowed to go. So that's why when I saw that recruiter, I was like, oh, I'm going to the military. They're going to pay for my school. I'm going to be able to do this. But unfortunately, I was too young to go to the military as well. I was not getting permission from parents to go.
Oh, so that's why you couldn't go to the school?
That's why I couldn't go to school out of state, and that's why I couldn't go to the military either.
Oh, right.
Okay? Because mm-hmm. I was only 17. Mm-hmm. Nobody was signing. My parents were not playing those games.
Gotcha.
So I enrolled in the University of Memphis instead. I did very well there mm-hmm. for the 18 months that I was there, but I did not like it. I was ready to go.
Why not?
I didn't want to be there in the first place. I wanted to travel the world and go to school too. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. So for those 2 years, from 17 to 19, I always would just play around with it, still saying I was going to the military, especially when my dad made me mad. I would use that.
Yeah.
I would use that. Sorry, Dad.
Like, I'm going to the military.
Yeah, I would use that. I did that for 2 years. Uh-huh. But he talked me out of it for 2 years. He did. He's good at it. Mm. But 9/11 happened. Uh-huh. I was smart then. So I was like, I'm joining. I'm not telling anybody. Mm. So that's how I ended up going in the military, just like that. But I was on a delayed entry program. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I had to wait 4 months to go.
What was the reason?
Because of the job I got, engineering technician.
Yeah.
I didn't just take any job. I wanted a particular job.
Gotcha.
And so I had to wait 4 months. And, my family found out
mm-hmm.
after I had signed. Right. They found out shortly thereafter on Christmas Day. In 2001.
What a Christmas present.
Yeah, they were really mad, and I just ran. I got up from the table and ran because my brothers and sisters were chasing me. It was pretty funny.
Why were they chasing you?
Because they couldn't believe I did that.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't believe I joined the military and didn't tell anybody.
And was your dad chasing with the belt?
I Oh, my dad was mad.
That's
for
kind of
4 months.
For 4 months.
Until I left.
Why was they so opposed to the military?
It was really my dad and my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
They were opposed to it. I found that out later. Good question. That was something I found out later.
Mm-hmm.
It had something to do with my grandfather going into the military.
Oh, okay.
And how he was treated when he got out.
Right.
And he wasn't able to get help. He was in World War II.
Oh, right.
So I didn't know any of that then.
Right. Well, and that brings up a good point, though. So your grandfather, first of all, you had the racial situation back in the 40s, not 45 or whatever.
Yep.
But the second thing is we didn't even know exactly what PTSD and all this. They was calling it shell shock at the time still.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So what would he have? What treatment was there to get?
Well,
probably
really,
none, you know.
It was, he endured racism, and he wasn't able to get the help he needed. So he did result to alcohol.
Right.
So that's what happened. So I didn't know any of that history.
Right.
All I know is you don't want me to go, and I didn't understand that. But I learned that probably 10 years ago when I was already out of the military.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's important to know the history.
It is. I'm a history major, you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's always cool to understand what went before and why. Yeah. Helps you understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you signed up for the delayed entry program. Did you go in how long after 9/11?
4 months. No, I'm sorry. In April. I went in April.
Okay. So in 9/11, I was already in the Air Force. I was a senior airman. And I was actually on a cruise. So got the word. I came downstairs that morning, and on the big cruise ship, you know, they got the TV like 40 yards across the room. I'm looking like, and I said, what fool? How you going to hit a big old building like that? How you? Because it was just one, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And right as I was saying, how you run into the building? Come on now. The second one hit. I said, oh, we under attack. Yep. Yeah, so I remember that time frame well. So you was coming in. You came in as what, a E3 probably?
E2.
E2.
Yeah, I had one stripe because I had the college classes. Right. So I had that one stripe.
Cool.
But what I did not know is that when you go into the military, you have to, train, basic training. I already knew that. Train for your job, AIT or tech school. Then you got to do the on-the-job training. Yeah. And that could be a year. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Doing all that training. And that's when you can go to school, people. After all that. Yeah. You ain't starting right away. No, you're not. Nobody tells you that. So that's why I ended up doing 8 years, because it took me 8 years, almost 8 years to finish my degree. Right. Because and the military deployments pop up. Oh, yeah. And online school was not that big in 03, 04.
No, it wasn't.
And then when you're on the remote campuses on base, they don't always be offering the classes you need to graduate. Yeah. So I ended up going to about 10 colleges to get my undergrad degree. I see. From Wayland. It was a lot. Yeah. But I needed to finish because I was on a mission.
That's cool. And by the way, just for everybody listening and watching, I'm a Wayland Baptist University graduate too. And it was the same reason, and I was telling Brennae before the show, the funny thing about it was I'm from Lubbock, Texas, where Wayland is. And I was like, I ain't finna go to Wayland. So I went to Wiley College, then joined the Air Force, and then got my degree eventually after going through 2 or 3 universities from Wayland again, because they was right there on campus. So,
but it was paid for.
Exactly.
It's a separate pot of money when you're in the military, by the way, than when you get out.
All right, so you get into the Air Force, and tell us about your job a little bit. What was tech school like, and what exactly, what'd you call it? What?
Engineering technician.
What is that?
Okay, so we call it an EA. We worked in the civil engineering squadron. Okay. So basically, I did AutoCAD, the drafting work, surveying with the geodometer and other GPS equipment. Oh, man. So I surveyed all over the country to include Kuwait, the Kuwaiti-Afghani border, Kuwaiti-Iraqi border. We had to survey that in to build a safer route for the convoys. So I worked on that. And that was in Kuwait, and it was very hot.
That sounds
was in
awesome.
2006. Yeah.
And that in itself, that AutoCAD and all, that's some money outside the military.
I ended up getting a certificate in AutoCAD from the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Okay. So I got that while I was stationed in Alaska, which was my first duty station.
Why everybody's job always sound better than mine was in the military?
No, my job was the bomb. I had a good time.
I had a pretty good time as a linguist, but it seemed like I would have had a better time.
No, I had a good time in the military. I loved it. But so that's what my job consisted of. But I was typically assigned to an engineer. Okay, so the engineers were officers in the military. I was enlisted, and then I worked with a lot of civilian engineers as well.
Gotcha.
So I learned a lot about that field because that's what I was going to school for originally when I was in college, engineering program. So I really liked engineering and math. So that's why I stuck with it, and I'm glad because once I got out the military, my job was in that field too. That's how I got my start.
So how long were you in the military?
8 years.
8 years. And then you got out after that, but you didn't immediately become a lawyer at that point? No.
I took a year off.
Way later. Oh, I see.
No, only a year. Only a year. Because I needed to save up some money to go to law school. Because you can't work for 3 years while you're in full time. You can't work.
Right.
So I needed to save money.
Why can't you work?
Well, you can work. Only 20 hours, though.
Oh, I see.
Because of the American Bar Association rules and regulations. So you're typically not able to work for more than 20 hours a week. So I knew that. And I know me. So I was like, I don't want to work at all. I need to focus.
Yeah.
So I can pass.
Right.
The first time.
Right.
Everything.
Because I'm sure it was difficult, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But so you get out the Air Force then. But did I miss the part where you were saying why you wanted to become a lawyer?
Oh,
you said you knew when you were a kid, but how did you know, and what did you do that was like pre-shadowing or pre?
Well, I tried to be an officer 3 times while I was in the military. 1, 2, 3, and I got denied every time. They don't really tell you why. They just say no a lot of the times.
Yeah.
My packages were pretty strong. I had recommendations from the general of the base commander.
Dang.
But they would say no. And it was very frustrating. And by that time, I was close, or I did finish my degree. And I think I was on my last deployment to Afghanistan, my last military deployment to Afghanistan. That's where I was at. And then I was looking into getting a master's degree. And I'm like, this take 2 years. I was like, law school is only an extra year. I'm going to do that. Plus, I was hanging out with this man who was a paralegal.
Okay.
And he worked with the lawyers on base.
Right.
And so I was like, maybe I should look into doing that. And that's when I started the application process in 2009 when I was on my last military deployment.
Okay. So what's the application process like then?
Oh, goodness. You have to take the law school admissions exam.
The LSAT or whatever?
Yeah, it's called the LSAT. But you got to sign up for all of this on this website called LSAC. That's the name of the website.
Okay.
Law Schools Something Council. It's just LSAC.org.
Okay.
So you got to pay and do that. And then through that is where you send all of your statement, letter of recommendations. You got to send your transcripts to their website. Everything goes there. And then when you get ready to apply for your law school, you click on that, the law schools you want to go to through this website, and they packages up everything, and that's how it's sent off to the law schools.
I see.
It's no
So
joke.
that everybody in the country goes through that one website?
Yes.
Dang.
You don't really apply directly to law schools.
And once you apply to that website, they package your stuff off. The law schools are able to look at you and pick and choose, or do they send to who you tell them to send it to?
They send it to who you tell them to send it to.
Okay.
Yeah. All the law schools are listed
I see.
on their website.
I see. Who'd you tell them to send it to? Where were you trying to
My
go?
only school that I looked at was the Thurgood Marshall School of Law, Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. Only school I picked. But the reason I did it is because, remember before the post 9/11 GI Bill, there was the Montgomery GI Bill.
Yeah.
And depending on your state is how much they paid. Remember that?
Yeah.
And Texas was the highest.
Oh.
I was like, I'm going to Texas. Because it didn't matter if you did public school or they didn't distinguish between. No, they did distinguish between public and private school, but Texas paid the most money per month from the GI Bill to pay for your education. So that's why I picked Texas. But before I got out, it changed to the post 9/11, and they paid your tuition for any public school you went to.
Okay.
So by that time, I had already picked Thurgood Marshall.
Right.
The Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Right. So how'd you like Texas while you were down there?
Oh my gosh,
I was gonna say,
lot of traffic.
Look where you at and be careful with your answer.
I'm just saying, it was a lot of traffic. And
well, that's Houston, yeah.
I know, but I didn't know what I was doing. I moved 45 minutes away from the school. I didn't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But it helped me focus a lot. I was very focused. I wasn't on that party scene because I was too far away. So I moved far. I was in traffic every day, coming and going. But I didn't miss class. Wasn't late. I didn't play those games.
What part of Houston did you live in?
A-Leaf.
A-Leaf?
Do you know where that is? off of 59.
I know where 59.
Dairy Ashford.
Oh yeah, North 59 North.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Going
Dang.
towards Sugarland.
Yeah.
Going towards that way. Pretty far.
Yeah, that's where in that area, somewhere up in there, North 59. I'm trying to get me a ranch. After we move down from here, we saving up right now. I got the 5-year plan and all that. I'm having me a spread. Crazy shoot. But the only thing that changed though, this is my lifelong dream. So when I was young, I was like, I'm gonna get me 100 acres. Then I started doing some research, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna give me 40 acres
and a mule.
And then I say, and then I say, well, I'm gonna give me 4 acres. The little prices. I'm gonna get an acre and a picture of a mule. You know what I'm saying? It's a little more expensive than you think, but that's definitely my neck of the woods, though. So
that's why I picked Texas. Texas, it was a good price for cost of living too.
Yeah. Can't beat it, man.
Yep. But remember, you gotta take that law school admissions exam before you go to law school. Okay. And I was once I got out of the military, my 8 years, I was like, I need to save up some money for a year, because you can only apply to certain law schools. The majority, you only can be admitted for the fall. Okay. So I got out the military in April 2010. I wasn't ready to start law school.
Right.
I needed to save up money for a year.
Okay.
To start it in that fall. So I took a job in Afghanistan as a civilian.
Because you wanted to get that cheddar.
I saved up a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's where I took the law school admissions exam.
Oh, that don't sound like the best situation and the best location.
It was about 6 people in there, and I remember bombs going off while we were taking the exam.
Wow.
But I was like, I gotta focus. It was rough. But I got into my law school.
And you made it the first try?
Yeah.
What?
I got in. The key is applying early. If the application is due in June, when the application period opens in November, I'm applying in November. Well, I applied in November, December. I got in around
Why is that?
January.
Why is the time so important?
Scholarship money.
Oh, right.
It's a package deal. They're gonna look at everything. You want them to read your whole personal statement, right? More time to read all of that. If you wrote 2 pages, I wanted to get in early. I needed to get in early,
right? Gotcha.
So I can know my next move and where I was moving to once I left Afghanistan. I didn't want to be waitlisted. Nothing wrong with it, but I didn't want to. I needed to know as soon as possible so I could start the process on the GI Bill money. You see what I'm saying? That too, because I didn't know much about that, so I had to learn about that, and I didn't want to be waiting to get my money.
So did your GI Bill translate over into law school at all? I mean, did it help you out?
Remember, it's TA in the military.
Right.
It's tuition assistance.
Right, and then afterwards,
it's post 9/11.
Right.
Whichever one you signed up for.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a whole nother pot of money. I never used that while I was in the military.
Yeah. So I actually did, but I knew exactly what I was doing with it, and it was for my videography training, and it's cool. I still got 2/3 of it left though. So,
that's good.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to you. So you got into law school. You took the tests under fire. I ain't never heard nothing like that. You took the law the what is it, the LSAT?
Yes.
So you took the LSAT in Afghanistan under bombardment by the enemy. Made it the first try. So if I don't know, man, you should be a criminal lawyer, because that sounds unflappable.
I tried to do that.
Oh yeah.
Not my thing. I do expungements now. I volunteer and do that for the state.
Oh, okay.
I do expungements through a nonprofit organization.
Right.
I try to help people clear their records.
And that's, in case anybody's unaware, I think an expungement is where you got something on there, and like you say, you just want to...
It depends on what it is, though.
Yeah.
The offense.
Right.
Some things cannot be expunged.
Yeah, exactly.
So I help with that. So I like doing that. It makes me feel good. But do you know how many cases go to trial?
Probably almost none, right? How many?
The percentage is very low. I think about 90 are settled. Well, plea bargain.
Yeah.
90% or higher. That number's probably higher. Don't quote me.
Right. Wow. So 90% of the time or more, they scare
Probably
you
more
into
like 95.
they scare you into just taking something, even without
that's scary.
That's horrible. That's horrifying.
It's not just. It's scary. The family would be like, "Oh, you should take a plea." Your own family would say that to you.
Yeah. Dang.
So even while I was in law school, the entire time, the 3 years I was in law school, my family was going through that with different family members. That's exactly what was happening. Like getting in and out of trouble, taking plea bargains, just all that. While I was in school. So
I feel like just my nature, I'd be like, I'm not finna just lay down and just take what y'all give me. We got to go to trial.
Oh, you would go to trial too?
I think I would. I say that. I say that now. I haven't never been in no trouble. You know what I'm saying?
You said
I think I would. Then you get in that situation, and be like, dang, I'm scared. I don't know.
It's a good Netflix special that displays this.
What's that?
13th.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, matter of fact, we saw that. We watched that church for men's night one time.
That's good.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the difficulty of law school, because obviously it was not easy. But then again, you seem to be an exceptional individual. You got into law school under bombs and stuff dropping, so it might have been easy.
No,
I don't know.
Focused.
Okay. Tell me about it. Tell me about the process of the whole time.
In law school, I remember before I went, I was like, I did deployments. I was in the military. I did this. I did that. I was like, this would be easy. That's what I told myself.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. It was very difficult, very challenging, but I loved it. Every second of it. I learned so much. But this is what I would recommend once you're in law school.
What's that?
Get a mentor. Okay? One of those professors, one of the deans, get somebody to mentor you and basically give you information on what to do next. The next step. I had a great mentor in law school, my legal writing professor. She was great. She told me everything to do. Shout out to Cassandra Hill. Thank you, sister. But she told me everything to do. She told everybody, though. I'm not going to lie. She told all of us what to do. And she was like, because when you're in your first year of law school, October, November is when you can start applying for internships. And so she was like, soon as that hits, soon as that timeline hits or time frame hits, start applying for your internships. I did that. I did everything she told me to do. And she was right. And she wanted us to make sure we were good at writing.
Right.
She wanted us to be able to write for any area of law, regardless of how difficult it was, regardless if you ever heard of this area of law.
Right.
She knew if she can get our legal writing, legal analysis down to like excellence, if she knew she could get us like that, she knew we would be great writers in any area of law. And so that's what happened to me.
So you're a great writer then?
I win awards for writing.
Oh, wow.
Shout out.
Sound like you owe her some lunch or something, huh?
I mean,
got you set
I give
up.
her credit.
Yeah.
Next to my writing awards, I have her picture up. Didn't even do it on purpose, just happened.
Yeah, it's subconscious.
It did.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
But that's what happened.
Cool. So it sounds to me, a lot of people have I don't know, what I would, I know, it sounds like a misperception that some people think, Law and Order, you get to stand up in front of court and, but because I was in, what was it called? Pre-law back in high school, something, investigating what and what I gleaned then that it was mostly about reading and writing, reading a lot of law, settled law cases. Right. Describe that for us.
Okay. So let's say, okay. When I did this pro bono case before the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, okay? That's how I got my start in this area of law. I worked on a case. I knew nothing about this area of law other than what I've learned in the law class, veterans law class. And I worked on this case. I got the whole package for the case. Air Force veteran. Never met him.
Wow.
Okay? He was all the way in California. He is all the way in California. So with his case, it was a traumatic brain injury case. Okay. Increased rating claim, meaning he was already service connected for it. And so now he just wanted an increased rating for it. Okay. That's the case I worked on. I had the whole case before me, the package, everything, all his claims, everything he had done on this case throughout, I think it was a 7-year period. Okay.
Wow.
And so I had to research, the Code of Federal Regulations on this area of law. I was in that. That's what's cited. Different cases are cited. I had to go research those cases so I could understand it because you have the law, like the Code of Federal Regulations or the USC, which is the United States Code. You have that, but it's further defined in like case law.
Right.
And so for me to understand that, I had to go look at some case law and read other examples. That's part of the research you have to do. You got to do all that. The research takes most of your time up. Because once you do all that research, then you go write your brief or your decision. And so that's what the process is like. And your analysis has to be tight. Okay? So in law school, we learn conclusion, rule of law, and then your analysis, applying the law to the facts of the case in your analysis, and then your conclusion. That's how you write. And so I won that case. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Shout out to the veteran. I'm glad I was
bet
able
he
to
happy.
help.
Yeah.
Yes, he was happy. It was 7 years.
That's what I'm saying. That's the other thing about the whole not the criminal justice, the legal system in general. Everything seems to take 55 years.
No, not 55. It depends.
5 to 7. Okay, so
It depends
a long
on what
time.
it is. Yeah, it can take time.
Yeah.
Different things. Different
Why
areas
is that? Because of all the research,
I'm not
or
sure. Yeah, the research. Because it might be delayed somewhere in the judicial system. The law changes a lot. And then we're talking about, okay, that case I worked on for that individual. I did an extension at one point, other people do extensions. We can talk about that side of it, like a 30-day extension.
like the other team, the other law team. Or
yeah, they do extensions. I could do an extension. We got to remember something else. These all have deadlines. That case had a deadline. It was due on a certain date, but I could file an extension, like a 30-day extension. But you can't file that many extensions.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So I'm not going to say you're limited, but there are always rules.
Right.
But you want to be on time for everything because this is your client.
Yeah, it's somebody's life.
It's somebody's life, somebody's well-being.
Right.
So, and then sometimes you miss deadlines. That could mess up the case.
Right.
It could be dismissed.
Right.
So you got those deadlines and you got all kind of things. It's many reasons as to why something may take longer.
So it's not normally. It probably isn't people dragging their feet. It's probably the way the system works.
Yeah.
So I guess I would to take this conversation then into the kind of the whole reaching back to the next generation type thing. Do you have any guidance for people, young cats coming up that are thinking
who are even thinking about being a lawyer?
Young cats coming up who
yeah.
think they want to be a lawyer?
Every year there is a pre-law conference. Okay, like this past November, it was at Harvard Law School, and it was like a HBCU pre-law conference, but it was hosted at Harvard Law School.
Wow. So
when you go to those type of conferences, it was free. Everything's free. You go to this conference, you're going to have a lot of law schools present. People from the admissions department are there to give you some type of guidance, give you all the information you need so you can apply and possibly get in. All kind of resources that you don't even think is available are available at these type of conferences. Right. Deans of those law schools are there. Wow. Okay. And so this pre-law conference I'm telling you about is getting pretty popular. And I think they just had the 9th one. November.
What's the name of it?
It's called the pre-law. Let me look it up. Okay. Make sure I'm giving you the right information. I just know it's pre-law HBCU conference, maybe. Pre-law. So I'll get that to you. There you go. Oh, it's called the National Black Pre-Law Conference and Lawfare. That's what it was. Cool. So and it's on Facebook too.
All right. Send me the link to that and I'll put that in the show notes. So in case anybody listening.
I will. And they advertise all year.
And it happens usually when?
November.
Okay. Cool. So y'all heard that right here. You got almost another year.
I wanted to go to it, but I was busy that weekend because it was Veterans Law Weekend. I'm sorry, it wasn't at Harvard. It was at Columbia Law School this year. Wow. It was at Harvard last year. So. Okay. Cool. So that's the first thing that you would tell somebody trying to follow in your footsteps, trying to be a lawyer. Think they want to be a lawyer. It's way more information out there than I knew of. Right.
So that's a good place to start. So do they actually get you in law school, like there? Can you be selected or?
Oh, I don't know that part. I'm not sure. But it's a lot of different programs out there. I'm going to have to send you this link. Because in February 2020, there's a application period open for people. It looks like it's a diversity pipeline focused on people who want to go to law school. Okay. So that's good too.
Right. So other than that conference, what would you tell somebody that thinks they want to be a lawyer? What's a good way to winnow out those who do or think they do and those who really do? Sift them out. You know what I'm saying?
if they don't know any lawyers or anything,
right.
or anybody in law school,
right,
other than Googling and researching things for yourself.
Right. What kind of traits do you recommend, or what kind of traits do you think are useful for a person?
I can't even say like what, because I had people in my law school who they were performing arts majors, super sharp. I think one of them who was a performance arts major graduated number 2 in my class. Then another really sharp one, she was also a performance arts major. So I can't even just say it's the degree path you're on at the time. But I mean, pre-law program is good. I'm pretty sure that'll help. Political science, I saw a lot of those majors. And what's another one? Criminal justice. Those are a lot of majors I saw come into law school. So, but watching Law and Order is not going to help sift out the people who do and want to go and who do not want to go. Right. So I'm thinking just do some research on your own.
Yeah.
Especially in the times of social media right now.
Yeah.
You can find a lot out about law school in the life while in law school. And it's different though. Right. Law school is not undergrad.
No.
No, sir.
What's a typical day like in law school?
First of all, at the law school I went to, your grade on your exam you're graded on the curve. Okay? So only so many people are going to get A's. Only so many people are going to get B's.
Why is that?
That's how they do it at that school. Different schools have different curves.
Okay.
So some schools might have a 2.5 curve. Some may have a 3.0 curve. So you're graded on that system. Oh. And so
you mean like no matter how good you do on the paper, you might get something that you didn't really get?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm lost on that.
Yeah, that's every school is different. But
what's the purpose of that?
I'm not sure of the purpose. I don't know. But I know I lived by it.
Wow. Well, it's better to live by it than to die by it, right? So, all right. So, describe that typical day then. So, you would go to class. What would your homework be like to prepare, and then what would you do?
Why would you ask me about that? Let me tell you about that. I'm going to talk about my criminal law class. Shout out Professor Walker. Whew. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, okay? And it was my last class every time. We sat in alphabetical order, okay?
Okay.
Every class, you have to be prepared. When you say homework, no, this is not homework. This is learn. You have to learn this. This is not, you just got to do this assignment. No, you got to read this case and you got to understand the case and you're going to have to brief it the next day probably. And you better be prepared or you will get called out. So it depends on the case that we're assigned to read, or no, they were just assigned read chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you got to be prepared to discuss what you read and learn and got out of this. You got to be prepared to discuss it the next day. And the way to prepare is to read it and brief each case. So if you were assigned those 2 chapters or 3 chapters and there were 10 cases in those chapters, you got to have a brief prepared.
Just like you were in court.
No, a case brief. You just talk about the facts of the case, talk about the law you pulled out of the case.
The little thing you just laid out, the conclusion and the law.
That's how it's written out. Conclusion of the case, the rule of law that was used, the analysis from the case, and then the conclusion. You know.
So you would have to put your own brief together, or you
got to put your own brief together, but everything has to be based off of this case you just read, and that's how you learn the law. Right. You learn the law better by reading the cases. Okay. So don't that make sense?
Yeah, dude.
Like you read it better, you learn it better by application. So that's your application. So that's what you had to do for every class, though. Contract law, criminal law, property law.
How many classes do you take at once? What's a full load?
Full load was 12 hours, maybe 15 hours.
Okay.
It takes 90 credits to graduate.
I see.
Over the course of 3 years. And the first year was all required classes, like constitutional law. Yeah. No, that was the second year. But you got to get the foundation because once you get to another year of law school, it's always going back to like this foundation that you learn. Right. So year 1 is going to be contract law. It's going to be criminal law. And you're going to have to learn legal writing the first year, legal research the first year. Appellate law came later. Tort law came later. Property law was another one in the first year.
What's tort law? I always hear people saying tort.
You know, like accident.
Oh, okay.
Different accidents when you're trying to sue somebody. those are different torts that may happen. So that didn't come until the next year because that was kind of based off of some contract law was in there and tort law. And then criminal evidence law or criminal procedure. That was criminal procedure to me was a mix of criminal law and constitutional law. So you're going to need to already have that foundation of criminal law and constitutional law to understand criminal procedure. Yeah. It's a beast.
Sounds rough.
I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn a lot.
Right.
And remember, the law changes.
Yeah.
Do you see why you're going to always have to continuously learn? That's why you have to take these continuous legal education courses because law changes. You got to keep up with the law. While we were in law school, law was changing. So we had this, a book that somebody may have had their first year of law school, even though it was only 2 years prior to me getting there. A law book that they had is probably not good anymore. I'll have to go buy a new one. Right. Because the law changed.
Interesting. All right, so we got kind of the whole childhood. We got the Air Force, and we got the law transitioning into legal career, law school.
But after the law school part, you got to take the bar.
Oh yeah. So what's that like?
The bar is a beast. Okay, you're preparing for the bar day one in law school. Okay, you got to think about it. You got to always keep it before you in your mind because. After these 3 years, you're going to have to take a bar exam. I took it for Texas. It was 3 days in Texas. But
dang, a 3-day exam?
3-day exam, okay? And you're going to be tested over everything you just learned over those 3 years, okay? And you got to wait 3 months to find out your results.
Dang, why does it take 3 months? So I'm sure it's not a multiple choice exam. It's more like
it's everything.
Case law.
It was a multiple choice exam. It was a Texas rule of evidence exam. In Texas, they call it Texas practice. It was civil procedure mainly. Then it was essay exams, 12 essays. Wow. Off of, you don't know, different areas of law. Right. And all you're going to get is a fact pattern. And you're going to have to know the law in your mind. And then you're going to have to write it in that format I told you, CRAC. You're going to have to write the law in that way or use your laptop. Right. Wow. And you find out the results, and then you're a lawyer if you pass it the first time. Okay. Or the second time or third. You're a lawyer then.
How many times can you take it?
Depends on the state. Texas, I think you can take it 5 times, and then after that, you have to get, I'm not sure about that, because maybe I'm mixing it up with Tennessee. I'm not sure how many times you could take it without being required to get, like, a mentor, take another training class. I can't remember that. Right. Because I only planned on taking it once, brother. Right.
So you took it once and
one time wonder. Yeah. One hit wonder. It's called one hit wonder.
One hit a quitter. That's right.
But you have to take a bar prep course. Right. Those courses are very expensive.
How much are we talking about? You say
about $3,000, $4,000, $3,000. So I knew how much it was going to cost. So I just started saving up the first year, you know. And I told you I worked the internships during the summer. So there was no way I was not taking a bar prep class. Right. Okay. And you got to take it and you got to be serious about it. So during my bar prep study, it was my job. That was what I did. Like so you 8 to 10 hours a day, every day.
So you stopped. This was after school?
After you graduate, you turn up that weekend. Monday, you start bar prep. Every day, though. Yeah. Like, it's serious.
Wow. For how long?
I did that for 3 months, every single day.
Dang. Okay.
8 to 10 hours.
So you graduated and you passed the bar. Does the bar, that's just like a general admission into
the practice of law. You can't call yourself a lawyer, or you can't put attorney in front of your name or Esquire after your name until you are licensed to practice.
Gotcha. So at that point, did you choose VA benefits?
No.
Or did you kind of?
I didn't even know that law existed. So at that point, I knew I was in Texas, remember, but I already knew where I wanted to live. I knew I wanted to live on the East Coast because this was when I was in law school. I got a magazine that said Washington, D.C. is the #1 place for young lawyers. I said that's where I need to be, #1 place for young lawyers. So I knew I wanted to be there, and so that was my goal to get to the D.C. area. So I didn't start off practicing. My first full-time job outside of law school was not a legal job.
What was it?
It was like quasi-legal job. I worked for the city of Baltimore in the procurement office.
Okay.
So I was doing procurement contracts just like I was doing when I was in the military.
I see.
I ended up going into like the procurement or the contract management area in the military. And I used that experience. Plus that year I got out the military and I was working overseas. I was doing contract administration.
Gotcha.
So I used all of that. I leveraged all of that plus my JD or my law degree at that time. I used all that to get that first job.
I see.
In Baltimore. And that's how I got to Baltimore. And then while I was doing that job, I did that pro bono case, like I told you. That's how I found out about it.
So that's what made you want to go into veterans law? Then? You saw that guy in his case?
Yep, because I was having a rough day at work, and I got home. I started working on this case. I forgot all about my day. Yeah. So I was like, ooh, I need to do this full time. Yeah, that's how I got in. That was 2015.
Wow. So you've been about 3-4 years now?
No, it's been 4 years now.
4 years.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So it really did get tied back into what you said earlier about helping people. Then.
Yeah.
Helping him made you forget about lay your burdens down. You was like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
So has it been like that? The whole veterans benefit part, has it been like that ever since?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Yeah, I love everything about it. I love learning this area of law. I love helping people because it does help a lot of people. I only want to do one more thing with it. Like I want to educate people more on it, so they can understand. Because I remember when I first applied for my benefits, when I didn't know this area of law existed.
Right.
When I first applied for my benefits, when I came out the military, before I went to law school, I was applying for my benefits, and I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
When I got my denial back, I didn't know what anything meant.
Right.
I didn't. It was just, I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand nothing that I got back, but I was like, I'm good with it. So, all right.
Yes, no. That's all I care about.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a trip. So, tell us about your experience as a veteran with the VA part of it, the benefits part of it.
Okay.
And then bend your law experience to help some people kind of understand what they might need to be looking at or considering as they, start retiring and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So when I got into this process, when I applied for my benefits, I remember it was difficult because even though I was just getting out, I was fresh out of the military when I first applied for my benefits. And I still couldn't remember things from even 6 months prior. So it's good to have your records.
Right.
It's good to have your records. That's very smart to do. Have your records. Because when you're looking at your records, you'll be able to say, oh yeah.
Now, remember? Yeah.
So have your records. So that's what I wish I had at the time. I wish I had my military.
So you didn't
records.
have them? They didn't give you your records when you got
Yeah, I did. But I don't remember where they were at that time. I had moved.
Oh, I see. I see.
They gave them to me on the disc.
I was going to say, I got mine on disc. I got the hard copy.
Remember. Okay. And
soft copy. I got all the copies.
And then that, I had a veteran service organization representing me.
Okay.
Tennessee Department of Veteran Affairs was helping me. But when you go to the e-benefits website, I don't think that existed when I was applying.
Wow.
So now you have this e-benefits website and you can click on different links to find different options to go to and different things about your record. And so that's really good. And on that website, you have the Veteran Service Organization, other attorneys and representatives who can represent you. You can click on all of that and find out more. So it's just going to require some research.
Right. Yeah, some effort.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So that's a lot more than I remember having back in 2011 when I was applying. Yeah. So that's good information that you can be looking into right now while you're in the military.
Right. So what were some issues that you ran into dealing with this whole VA benefits for
when
yourself?
I was applying for myself?
Yeah.
I just didn't know certain things. I didn't know what I was entitled to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when I was reading different things that I received back, I didn't understand. That was it. That was the main thing for me. I wasn't understanding things, and I didn't know where to go.
Right. And
That's what it was.
I had to confess too, like when I didn't know what, I thought I had a little bit of understanding, but then when you start going through the process, you're like,
yeah, it's confusing.
I don't know what this means. I don't know. I'm just going to show up where they tell me to show up, do what they say, fill out what they say. And then after that, you don't understand why they're coming to the conclusions that they're coming to.
Yeah, that was my problem. Like, I didn't understand what was going on. And so that's why I said when you go to eBenefits, you can learn more about these things. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I like that website. Right.
So now you're an expert, of course, in I guess benefits law. Mm-hmm. What are some? Do you have any pointers, things you learned over the years dealing with your own case?
With my own case, I remember. When you're trying to get a service connection, what does that mean?
Right.
And it means you have to fulfill 3 requirements. Requirement number 1 is you have to have a current disability. Mm-hmm. So I remember I got hurt. I had an ankle problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was playing flag football. Mm-hmm.
How many injuries in the military come from PT?
Exactly.
Where'd you get that at Afghanistan? No, PT. PT.
So I was playing flag football. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't even like football that much. Right. Okay. And I remember that's why I stay away from sports, because it gets too competitive for me. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was playing flag football. I rolled my ankle. Oh. It was so bad. Mm-hmm. My ankle got so big. But I went to some people ignore that.
Yeah.
Some people ignore that and they don't go and report it. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the problem. You got to report. Right. So I went to report it because they had to give me crutches. And so that happened, and I still have ankle problems today. Mm-hmm. Okay? When I roll my ankle, that happened. So boom, there's my current disability. I rolled my ankle. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is in-service incident. Mm-hmm. So I just told you what happened. Mm-hmm. I rolled my ankle in service, and then it's in my records. Mm-hmm. So that did help me, that it was in my records. And number 3 is nexus. Like, nexus means that your current disability has to be due to your military service or incident that you're referring to. Mm. And you have to say why, or an expert has to say why. Mm-hmm. Somebody who knows about rolled ankles or somebody, because what if it wasn't in my records?
Right.
Or what if it had been 20 years? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it was 2 years ago, that's different. But if it had been 20 years, I can't just say, well, my ankle is hurt due to my military service 20 years ago. I can't say that, but that may not work.
Right.
So you got to be able to prove basically that my ankle disability was due to my military service. Mm-hmm.
Now, one time we touched on this same subject, but it was a slightly different take on it. You were saying, like, sometimes people get injuries and conditions from stuff they'll look at it and be like, well, you didn't have it in your job to be driving a tank. How'd you get hurt driving a tank? And you're like, well, I drove a tank. Yeah, no, I wasn't a tank driver, but I was.
So even though I was an engineering technician when I was in the military, that was my job. However, I remember doing guard duty.
Yeah.
I did guard duty. You know that because you was in the military too.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Just because my job description was this, when I was on those deployments, I was doing other stuff too.
Other duties as a side.
Other duties, and at my regular base. I did other duties. Yeah. Okay, I got it. When I was stationed in Alaska, I went to Arctic Survival School for a whole week.
That sounds cool.
It was real fun.
That sounds cold.
It was fun. And the dude, look, I got voluntold to go. I did not want to go. I was so mad. I did not want to go because we had to sleep outside in negative, I think it got down to negative 20. Dang. We had to sleep outside for like 2 nights in a row. We had to make our own tents, all that type of stuff.
That do sound fun.
Excuse me. It was fun, but I'm trying to tell you, I was like, I'm not doing that. What is wrong with these people? I can't believe they're making me do it. I was making a big deal. I was so mad until we went over to the training house and the dude who was instructing the class was good looking. I was like, I'm going. I volunteered for everything while I was in that training, okay?
Yeah.
It was freezing cold. I was the first one to finish almost everything because it was cold. Yeah. And I was trying to impress the dude. But my point is.
Did it work?
I mean, come on now, of course.
Oh, good, it worked. Yeah. I forgot. One hit a quitter.
My point is, My job said engineering technician or engineering assistant.
Uh-huh.
But I did the Arctic Survival School.
Right. And then so later, years later, you be like, well, when I was in Arctic Survival School, I got a cold injury.
Yeah.
What you was at Arctic Survival School for?
But you know what? Arctic Survival School was on my DD-214. Never mind. It was on there. But I just had to bring that up because it was funny.
But that could be a point though where like they say this ain't in your records that you were this. So how did you get injured doing this when you didn't even do this? And you'd be like, I did do it.
Yep.
So that's an issue or a potential issue.
No, I'm saying that's why right now you need to keep notations of different things in life anyway.
Yeah.
Keep notes of different things that you're doing. Like
right.
I got like 4 journals at home.
Mm-hmm.
Just to write down different things.
Yep.
Keep that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I do the same thing, and it's not really a journal, man. I don't know what it is. It's like a brain dump. Mm-hmm. So anything that I find on the internet that's interesting, and I'm gonna say this, and they ain't paying me. We ain't affiliated, but I don't know. At some point, maybe they want to help a brother out on the show. It's Evernote, and I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard of that? It's an application or a program. You can keep it on your desktop on all your little electronics, your phone, all across all your stuff, and it's basically your own personal little cloud type thing.
That's cool.
So you go up there, I put everything on it. Oh, I need to do so-and-so. Oh, this person's number is so-and-so. Oh, ooh, look at that picture right there. Put that in there too. I don't think about that. Anything. And then later on you go through it and you can link it all together. It's like you can write a novel in it if you want to.
Wow.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So y'all heard the lawyer told you to keep notes about your life. Write a journal, keep some notes. Make sure you got things to jog your memory because down the road,
you may need it.
Interesting. So I'm gonna shift gears. Before I do that, do you have any other on that same topic of things that people might need to know to help them with they?
Oh yeah. For the people who served in Afghanistan or Iraq or were around burn pits, they should Google burn pit registry and just go ahead and register for that.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't involved with anything like that. But I mean, you can just imagine how toxic that would be.
I don't remember what I was burning. I remember going to the burn pits all the time. No, that's wrong. I remember what I was burning, but I don't remember what was being burned around me. Because I remember going to the burn pit and I remember putting stuff in there. I was like, what is that? That's not supposed to be here. Yeah. But I couldn't do anything about it. It was already there and I'm already inhaling it.
Oh, man.
So yeah, a lot of research is being done on that right now as we speak.
So burn pits, and there's a burn pit registry.
Yep.
There. Yeah, okay. All right. So I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. One of the things I like to do on this show is talk about quotes because I'm a historian, so I'm always looking at stuff like this. And I wanted to know, do you have a favorite quote or Bible verse or anything like that?
This is the truth. My favorite quote is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. I've always used that from when I was a kid. Especially coming through this journey, this military journey, volunteering for deployments. I volunteer for every deployment because you're going anyway.
Yeah, might as well go when you feel like it. Yeah.
You might as well go when you're like at your happiest moment.
Yeah.
So you might as well go then, right?
Yeah.
So that was just something that's a quote. I've always used it because I didn't always understand the path I was going on and things I was doing, but I've always trusted and had faith and have faith in God. And I always use that scripture. It's my favorite quote or Bible verse.
Right. So you mentioned you went to the Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Was he personally influential to you in any way other than that?
Well, I learned more about him once I went into law school. I didn't know much before Thurgood Marshall. It was Martin Luther King. Like I remember doing speeches about Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman. I did a lot of research about Harriet.
Have you seen Harriet?
I love that movie. I have a Harriet shirt. Okay,
that was dope.
No,
Harriet. Want to see it again?
I did a lot of research on Harriet growing up and Martin Luther King. But like growing up, my mom used to make us watch Roots. I was like, what is this? I don't want to watch this. My mom made us watch Roots, the real old school one. Yeah. She made us watch that. She made us watch a lot of different awareness movies and shows, even though didn't understand everything. Right. But I do remember doing a lot of research about Harriet and Martin Luther King always. Read
So
some
you
of
can
his
see my
books.
boy as Malcolm X and
Oh yeah,
Frederick Douglass.
My mom made me watch that.
Yeah, but that Harriet was real
It was
good.
so good.
What was
Yeah.
we don't want to do no spoilers
Oh, yeah, that's
in case anybody haven't seen it yet. But what was so good about it to you?
I would put everything together, and I forgot Harriet was a spy for the
Yep.
Union,
Yep.
and she commanded armies.
Yep.
I forgot
I think
about
she's
that
one
part.
of the only females in history. So, yeah,
Well, in that time,
yeah.
especially in that
Yeah.
time. But I always remembered that she had visions. I do remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all in her books before.
Yeah, I remembered
Like,
that.
I remember reading about that.
I thought it was dope the way they tied it into the storyline because
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily,
It was a
when I
part
was
of her.
young reading about it, I didn't
See?
necessarily think she had visions about the route and stuff like that. Thought she just had, I don't know, dizzy spells and visions, who knows. But the way they tied it in the film, man, I appreciate the fact that they were unashamedly religious in the film, unashamedly pro-gun in the film. That's something that we forget about.
Yeah.
All your freedoms are based on your ability to enforce them. And if you can't enforce your own freedoms, then you don't have none. You know what I'm saying? And then the fact that everybody in the film, all the white people weren't evil. That's not real life. Some are nutballs and some ain't. Some are pretty good. You know what I'm saying? My life, my little 46 years on this planet, it has not been like they tend to portray in the media. So it's like, oh, it's this narrative. It's like, no, life is messy and gray areas. And
Yeah, I like that part of the movie too. How it showed that we all got to work together. I like that. We need each other. How about that? So that's major for me.
Yeah. Only thing the only part of the movie where I kind of went was when my boy Frederick Douglass was there, and I was like, okay.
I knew it was him as soon as I saw him. I was
Yeah.
like, look at Frederick Douglass.
They didn't even let him get funky in the movie. He was all in the
Because they
background.
wanted to keep it about her.
Yeah.
They did that.
Yeah. So I was like, so he got to be next.
Yeah.
Then. He got to be next.
It's funny.
But yeah, I was like, all right. And she was like, well, some of us ain't all rich. And what did she say? Got position and influence. And he was like,
Go ahead and tell the whole movie, please. Spoiler alert.
no, ain't no spoilers. I'm going to leave it right there. But it was a good movie. And I have to say, I shed a tear when she finally came to freedom and she overlooked that valley and that light was shining on her. I was like,
Yeah, that was good.
I'm all right. I'm back. But I thought it was a good movie though.
But another thing I remember growing up about Harriet, she got to freedom by herself. Remember that?
Yeah.
But she could have stayed and lived a great life.
Right.
But she had to go back.
Right.
And get her people.
That was.
I like that.
Yeah. I also like how I don't want to spoil it, but she had that leadership presence, and it was established that it was a mixture of being fearless, being knowledgeable, and having a little something to back you up in the form of a Henry repeating rifle or whatever she had. And I was like, all right. Word. And I would have followed up like, yeah, let's go then. Where we going? Show me. You know what I'm saying? Point the way. But so anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by the North Star, and of course that's why they call it the North Star Podcast. It's the freedom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the whole thing is based on.
That's right.
So I want to thank you for maybe showing us the way to freedom, giving us some resources and some tips and stuff on this whole veterans benefits legal aspect of it anyway. And before I close everything out, though, I want to ask you, do you have anything that we didn't touch on that you meant to get into, or something that you want to drop one more jewel on them with?
Oh no, I think I covered everything. Yeah, I did. However, next year, I'm a member of the National Bar Association, which is Black lawyers, is the oldest association of Black lawyers and judges and educators. And of that section, or of that association, we have a section for military and veterans law. And next year, our conference is in Washington, D.C., 2020 election year. So we're going to have a conference next year, and we're working on having a function, our section in particular. We're working on some stuff, so more to come on that.
Cool. Well,
because it's going to be major.
I was going to say, if once y'all get that nailed down, if you want to come back and
for
put it
sure
on blast,
yes,
you
sir.
know what I'm saying? I welcome you back.
Yes.
Well, everybody, this has been Brennae Brooks. It was I thought, a very illuminating conversation A lot of stuff I want to get a little deeper into, but you got to keep a certain amount of time limit and a certain amount of, certain amount of consideration for certain things. However, we look forward to having her back in the future, and I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And as always, I want to bid y'all 2 digits.
I like that. I like the peace part.
Yeah.
That's what I do.